Nosler claims that they have the fastest factory-loaded 7mm cartridge on the market. But I've got a box of ammunition here that says otherwise. So is this marketing hype, or are they truly the king of 7mm? That's what's on the agenda for today.
That is a GT.
So back in 2015, Nosler released the 28 Nosler. At that time, they billed it as an ultimate long-range cartridge. They also claimed it was kind of the king of speed for 7mm cartridges. But did you know that it's actually just a shortened and slightly tweaked version of this monster right here, which I so happen to own? This is the 7mm Remington Ultra Magnum. Now, here it is in comparison to give you an idea of its size to 7mm 08, another 7mm favorite of mine, the 280 Remington, also called the 7mm Express, and then 7mm Rum. So how is the Nosler 28 faster, flatter than the 7mm Remington Ultra Mag when it is just a slightly pared down version of it? When you look at the specs, and we'll go over those in details, when you look at the specs, I don't get it. But what I thought we would do is we'd also look at another modern cartridge that came out in 2022, which is the 7PRC, which claims to be a new take, more modern version of 7mm Remington mag, but with enhanced performance. But as you'll see, I'm not so sure that's the case. So dig in as we go through some of these spreadsheets. Okay guys, we'll start walking through this data. What I did is I took kind of like a control, for lack of a better term, the trusty 7mm Remington mag, which I think, as we'll see, stands the test of time quite well. I found a similar loading in all four of these, and that was from Choice Ammunition. It was a 175 ELDX. I picked that because that's like the trend. Everyone seems to be going to higher ballistic coefficient bullets, longer, slender bullets, heavier, more retained energy downrange at long distances. So looking at that, I did find a similar loading, or the same loading from each, with the same projectile across all of these calibers. And so 175 grain ELDX, very aerodynamic bullet. You can see we have the same ballistic coefficient across all of them. At the top, we'll talk about velocity. So 7mm Remington mag at 28.89. Now that's a pretty hot load for a 175 that Choice is getting out of them, but that's what they're publishing. And another reason I picked Choice is from testing them with my chronograph, I've found their speeds to be very accurate. 7mm PRC, very minimal jump in velocity. 28 Nosler, 3080 FPS. And then the 7mm Rum, 3040 FPS. Again, we talked about the same ballistic coefficient. So let's look at drop. So I did 400 yards and 800 yards. At 400, you can see the 7 mag is right around 19 inches. 7 PRC is 18 inches. 28 Nosler 16 inches, and the Rum 16 inches. Energy, very similar across each of them if you look at this middle number. And then the last would be your wind drift. Again, at 400 yards, next to no change. You will notice that the 28 Nosler is representing about 11% increase in flat shooting over the 7mm PRC. All right, going out to 800 yards, we should see a little more distance. 137 inches of drop on the 7 Rim mag, and as you can see, we've dropped below what a lot of people use for the threshold for elk, 1500. As far as energy, we're sitting around 1400, so call this a 725, 750 yard elk round if you can pull that shot off. 133 is the drop on the 7 PRC, similar energy. Again, it's already below 1500. We're looking at almost 3 feet of wind. So that's pretty much double the vitals of an elk. And so that is concerning to me at trying to take a 800 yard shot. That's just with a 10 mile per hour, 90-degree crosswind. Okay, looking at the 28 Nosler, you do see a pretty good increase in trajectory here, about, what's that, 12, 13 inches, so about a foot at 800 yards. And then very similar, another 3 inches of drop being shown with the 7mm rum. Again, very comparable. Both of these rounds very capable of taking elk at 800 yards. Recoil, okay, guys, recoil is robust in each of these cartridges. If you're recoil sensitive, this is not the place for you. I will tell you this, when I touch off that 7 rum, a dominant musk hangs in the air. And I'm pretty sure the last time I shot it, I heard a Creedmoor beside me go, So with that being said, you're gonna see some recoil. 22 foot-pounds for 7mm Remington mag, and I believe 15 is the cutoff for what's called a comfortable round. So stout recoil on all these. Slight increase, 25 in the 7PRC roughly, 29 in each the Nosler and the Rum. I can tell you firsthand, the recoil is robust. And I put over here on the Rum a comparison of 300 Win Mag, 26. So coming in quite stout, even compared to the 300 Win Mag. All right. So what kind of, and you may notice here that there's some yellow highlights, and what I was doing with that is trying to show who I thought was the winner in that category. So factory bullet weight ranges, 7 mag is no slouch, 139 to 180 grains, and I'm able to find approximately 97 factory offerings. If you dig deep, you may find more. I was going to similar places, just one internet store and comparing these. Almost 100 options in factory loadings. Okay, looking at the 7mm PRC, about 30 options. It's a new cartridge, it's good. I think it came out in 2022. 150 to 195, so you're getting heavier on the top end. Can't go quite as light because this is a cartridge that's built to go heavy for caliber. 28 Nosler, 140 to 195, about 21 options of loadings, and then the 7mm Rum, 140 to 180. Kind of some older twist rates probably in those barrels, so they gravitate more towards the 140, 150. That's what I've found more of. This particular bullet right here, I believe that's a 150 grain Swift Sirocco. It's one of the easier ones to find. It's done very well for me. All right, let's look at max case capacity. So this is really aimed at you reloaders. What I've found is for this 7 ROM, it tends to be loaded weak. And you'll see that when you look here. Yeah, max case capacity on the Rem Mag, 82 grains. Very similar for the PRC, about 83. And then you've got a roughly 93. So on Nosler's own site, they claim 93, but on multiple places on the internet, I'm seeing folks claiming 101.7. So I'll put a range in there, but that's still about a 12% increase over the PRC. And then you have the ROM with 108. So it definitely has more case capacity. For a reloader, I would think you could really get this thing screaming. I can tell you that in my chronograph, I'm able to get over 3,400 feet per second shooting a 140 grain bullet just with factory Remington loadings. So that is moving. All right, the fastest factory load I could find, 7 Rem Mag, is 3150, but I did put a note here beside it. There's a new Barnes, I believe it's a 145 LRX. They're showing 3350, which is smoking. Also found a couple of other, I believe it was Buffalo, a couple other cartridges out there that claim to be loading TSX bullets at about 3350. So that is breathing new life into the old Rem Mag. 7 PRC 3110 is about the fastest I could find, and we all know of the powder inconsistency issues that folks have been experiencing with 7 PRC. Most everyone I've talked to is not even sniffing 3110. I really think the 7 Rem Mag is edging it out here. Then you got the 28 Nosler, several offerings just over 3,300 feet per second. And then I'll post the video here. I have a box here of 140 grain Remington, which is 3425. Now, a lot of the stuff you can find online is more in the 3,100 to 3,300 category. But Remington did load it themselves at 3425. I've chronoed it over 3,400. So why is Nosler saying that they offer the fastest factory loaded 7mm. I really have a little bit of a problem with that offering, unless of course it's impossible to find this Remington ammunition anymore, which I haven't had issues with. All right, shoulder angle. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I put that in here just to show, you know, one of the things I mentioned in the title is what happened with the 7 You can see here on the stats, it's a very cool long-range cartridge. Where did it go wrong? The 28 Nosler seems to have had more success. It's pretty much the same thing. A lot's talked about with modern case design. So no longer are you getting belted magnums like the 7 Remington mag. However, the 7 is not belted. It's based off the 404 Jeffrey case, which is a non-belted case. So is the 28 Nosler. But shoulder angle is another thing they talk about, which I think, you know, I'm no expert, but it allows them to build better chamber tolerances, get the head spacing a little different to get more consistency. And if you look here, the 7 Rem mag is very much the old style 25-degree shoulder. The PRC and the RUM are both more modern cartridge styles with 30-degree shoulder, and then the 28 Nosler with a 35. When you're looking at overall length, if you're looking at putting it in a shorter rifle, a lighter rifle, if you're a sadist, is the 7 Rem mag, 3.28 overall. That's a long action. Slightly longer in the 7 PRC, but still fitting into a long action. The 28 Nosler, we mentioned, it's a shortened version of this Ultra Mag case, 404 Jeffrey, and it's fitting into a long action as well. And then the RUM is in a Magnum length action. Now, by the way, guys, like, comment, subscribe. If you go to my channel, you can see where I recently did a video about a build that I did, a left-handed build on a 7mm RUM. You can see in there the length of the action is substantial. All right, barrel life. This is one that gets talked about a lot. Guys, if you're a big enough stud to go out and target shoot with any of these, more power to you. I personally am not worried about barrel life. I shoot this thing out of a lead sled, no shame in that, and it gets shot a couple times a year to check the group, a few times at critters, that's it. I've had my 7 RUM for better part of 25 years, and I think I've got 4 boxes of ammunition for it. Barrel life should be fine. With that being said, it's important to some folks. You spend a lot of money on a rifle, you don't want to be rebarreling it soon. 7 Rem mag, all over the place, guys. The way you care for your rifle, the ammunition you use, etc., has a lot to do with barrel life. But I'm throwing out some stats that I've found. Comment below if you have better data. But 7mm Rem mag, 1,000 to 2,000 roughly. Then you got 900 to 600, 1,600 with the PRC. And then you got the 28 Nosler and the RUM. I'm showing low end around 600 for both of those. I've heard people say 400. That seems aggressive, but several places citing a little more barrel life on the top end for the RUM. I don't see that, how that's possible. I also don't see up here how the velocities are lower in some of these rounds with a bigger case capacity for the RUM and lower velocity in the 28 Nosler. But again, it just has a lot to do. You're doing factory loadings with how people are loading them. With that being said, I think you can say the barrel life in both of these is not great. They are barrel burners. They are ultra magnums. So when you look at it, there they are side by side. Let's spend a little time talking about what that means. Looking at the data, here's where I sit. There is nothing wrong with the 7mm Remington Magnum. I own this Ultra Mag. I think it's a cool cartridge. I think it's one that's fell out of favor, which makes it kind of cool. I think if you want to go after really big game, it's a fine choice. It shoots very accurately for me, and so I think it does have some of the components of a modern cartridge design, and it is accurate. I'm shooting it just out of a factory Remington 700, and I've never found an ammo that won't shoot to an inch or less, and some substantially better than that. I don't think accuracy, although the PRC is billed as a long-range accuracy cartridge, I don't think that's an issue in any of these. 7mm are known for being inherently accurate. With that being said, 7 mag, wow. I don't see why you would need a 7 PRC personally. If you like the rifle it's in, go for it. But you're gonna get way more ammo offerings and the same performance in the good old 7 Remington mag, in my opinion. If you wanna go with an Ultra Magnum, you might go 28 Nosler. You've got double the offerings, you've got a little bit shorter case, and you're getting similar performance. With that being said, if I had it to do over again, would I purchase a 7mm Rum new? Would I rebarrel a custom rifle in a 7mm Rum? Highly unlikely. It's a cool cartridge. It's fun. It's very sexy, very fast. When I shoot it, a mustache immediately springs from my upper lip. That's cool. But with that being said, it's hard to find ammo. I'm not a hand loader, and if I was, maybe I would change my mind. And if you are a hand loader, I think that is a really solid option. Otherwise, any of these will suit you well. I think the 7mm Remington Magnum has a place to stay. Guys, I hope you liked the comparison. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm sure there's a lot of information that you guys can contribute that I was unable to pull together for this comparison. Put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for stopping by. See you soon.